Hello guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. My name is Michelle Mapepa and today we welcome you to yet another round of edition of Convocation. And today we are joined by one of our prestigious guests, Mr. Dumi Senda, popularly known as the Rex to Impact. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you. Very kind introduction. Prestigious sounds too strong, but you're very kind. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So without wasting your time, we're going to get into the questions. So our first question is, you often describe yourself as going from rags to impact. What was the turning point in your life that changed everything, and what lessons should young people take from that journey?
What a powerful question to start with. I'll tell you a little bit of a story. So one day, I came across a conference that was being held in Oxford. So it was an academic conference, and I called up the organizers of the conference and I said, "Oh, please, can I come and speak?" So at the time, I was recognized as a poet. So at the time, actually, my tag was Poet Dumi. That's what people used to call me. And I used to travel across the country, performing poetry in different communities and also telling stories, as I said, in schools, etc. And I thought actually I could come to this conference and contribute insights in a creative way, in a different way, contribute to that conversation. But then they asked me the question, what are your qualifications? And I said, what do you mean about my qualifications? I'm very passionate. I've performed in this place, in that place. I can do this. And they said to me, well, this is an academic conference. You actually need to be an academic or with some recognized qualification for you to speak at the conference. So that in a sense it felt like a punch in the gut for me. Essentially I was being told that I can't sit around certain tables because I don't have certain certificates or quote unquote qualifications. And long story short, in a sense, that was a moment of self-awareness. It made me aware of, I think, 2 points that I emphasize often when I have these opportunities to speak with bright young people such as yourselves. That, number one, the world does not owe you your success. That was a harsh lesson for me to learn. The world does not owe me my success. I could be very passionate about equality and wanting to kind of drive a message through my poetry, but actually they don't owe me that opportunity. And sometimes you have to recognize, then you have to be aware of what it takes for you to sit around those tables. So that's when I made the decision to apply to go back to university, and kind of almost felt like starting afresh. And then I suppose I went on my journey of kind of rebuilding my career to a place where I not only became a professional, to use that term, but I could now go and sit around tables where I previously perhaps couldn't, and share my message more broadly, because I was still passionate about equality and all these things, but I needed to understand how to navigate to get to the space where I can share that message.
Thank you. And the world doesn't owe you your success. The second question, many young people struggle to stand out on LinkedIn. What are the biggest mistakes you see people making, and what one thing can truly transform their profile and opportunities?
I love that question. So the first thing when we talk about mistakes, I think I have to lead with this, right? Mistakes are an opportunity to learn, So I don't want to give this impression that you should be sitting there and and marking yourself and saying, "Oh, what a terrible person I am," right? I don't want to give that impression. So firstly, recognize that mistakes actually, help us to be aware of what we may not have been aware, our skill gaps, our awareness gaps, etc. Right? That said, and that's to the side, in terms of optimizing LinkedIn, I would say maybe things to avoid. One of them is one that was shared by my man earlier on, the school director, who mentioned that it can put people off when people fabricate stories, right? You're a 16-year-old and you're claiming to be a CEO of some company, etc. Well, of course, anyone can go and by the way, that's not to say a 16-year-old can't be a CEO of a company. Because there are young people who are amazing leaders and they've started companies. In fact, people like Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, etc. They started their companies, which are now, global companies, including the founders of Google. They started those companies when they were students, working in their bedrooms and in the garages of their parents. So that message is not to say to discourage young people recognizing their skills and actually going out there and doing things that some of us could never dream of actually doing. You can do it as a young person. But however, the message is be authentic, you don't have to fabricate. You don't have to. Where you are is totally fine, and people don't expect you to be anywhere else. Really, they understand that you're a student. That's where you are. So you've got things to learn. You've got experiences to gather and gain. Those who come, but also recognize the experiences that you've gained and gathered, and you can gain and gather those, through initiatives that you can take in your own local community. It doesn't have to be some formal internship at some organization. Well, that is valuable too. But actually, there are things that you can do. It could be, you want to get into the finance world, and you come up with a little initiative to help to be your grandparents or grandparents out there or older people to be integrated into the finance world in very practical terms. It could be just managing their finances. How they can manage that. How can they manage their own savings? In a way that just helps them, gives them tools that they may not be aware of. So you will already be showing initiative, and that can often really position you well. And then you use your LinkedIn to tell that story.
Let's be authentic, guys. Our next question: if you were starting again today as a young person in Africa with limited resources, what skills, mindsets, and actions would you focus on to build a global career?
Oh, another powerful question. I think if I was starting again, wouldn't I love that? I would actually love to have the opportunity. I think your school is amazing. Your school is really amazing. I came here yesterday, and I've already mentioned my man in my earlier comment. Yesterday, she was having conversations with students on their goals, these goals that they set a year ago.
Yes.
And most of those students had forgotten about those goals, right?
Yes.
But what was really interesting is, as they were having that conversation, they realized that actually they've been doing a lot as well, aligned to those goals. So I suppose if I were to go back, I would want to have such opportunities. I didn't have those opportunities, but in a sense, it motivates me now to also do the best I can as well to give young people coming behind me the opportunities that I didn't have, and to try and help them as well, and to make their journey hopefully a bit easier, and maybe they can avoid some of the mistakes that I've made, and I've made a lot along the way.
So thank you, Mr. Dumi, for taking time out of your busy schedule to have us. So this was it from us, guys. Don't forget.
Well, before you conclude, I have to brag about this amazing gift that I've been given by yourselves, by the school, by the student body, and by the teaching body. And look at the design. Look at that design, right? And this was done by Joe, the design. Thank you so much for this gift. I will treasure this, and I've really connected with your school in a really powerful way for me. So I hope this is just the beginning of our relationship and our journey, and I look forward to coming again in future, hopefully next time delivering workshops so that we can go deeper and make some of these conversations more practical. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. So this was it, guys, from us. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe. Signing out. Yeah.